it and catch it on a pan?
Not with these pancakes.
They're too wobbly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They're too big.
And I'm lucky. Now it's time to eat.
Hey y'all, welcome back. So as y'all can probably see, we've been outside playing a lot today, and now I need to get dinner going. My daughter was supposed to have some friends coming over to help her work on a project, so we were going to make just some simple pasta, meatballs, and marinara and call it a night because most kids like a spaghetti style kind of dinner. However, they're not coming anymore, but I still had it in my mind to use these meatballs. So we're going to use our leftover mashed potatoes and make a meatball and mashed potato casserole that I saw way back when on Pinterest anyway. So we're going to give that a try today. So we'll save these rigatoni for another night, but I just have some leftover mashed potatoes, probably about 3 cups, and they're still cold. I probably should have sat them out a little bit sooner, but I'm just going to break them all up. We're going to turn these into semi-loaded mashed potatoes. They already have sour cream in them, so if you're wanting to make this, I would just suggest when you make your mashed potatoes, just mix in whatever seasoning and everything like you normally would, and then we're just going to amp them up some. While the kids are getting their showers real quick and getting cleaned up, I'm going to get this popped in the oven so that when they're out, I can get mine. Okay, so this does already have a little bit of butter in it, and like I said, it has sour cream in it and a little garlic salt. We're going to add a little bit more, and by a little bit I mean a lot of it. So a little more butter, a little more garlic salt. My favorite to use for mashed potatoes is actually the Dean's French onion chip dip. Like, use that where you would milk and sour cream, and that's my favorite way. It gives a little bit of a tang, especially if you're making like a beef roast or something. It's a good balance. I'm also going to add in a little bit of pepper. And I get a lot of comments that we use way too much cheese. This is going to be way too much cheese because we're going to use a Colby Jack down in our potatoes because that's our favorite. Okay, so I just used about 4 ounces of that, or about half the block. Alright, so you can also add bacon or anything like that to these potatoes. This is as loaded as I'm going to make them. I might add a little bit of parsley. I don't have any parsley in here, but I do have the tiniest bit of Italian seasoning. So I put that last little bit. I need to refill this also. And then we're just going to pour it into our greased baking dish. Trying to use up, I try to not waste any food, but I'm trying to use up fridge leftovers and foods in the freezer that we don't use all that often. Like meatballs, the frozen meatballs, we use those in the winter for meatball soup and different things like that. And then in spaghettis. But for that large bag, we still have that from like Super Bowl when we made pepper jelly meatballs. And I just like to keep things rotating and not have freezer space really full for a long time with stuff we don't use a ton. I already have a ton of dishes in the sink. I need to get them cleaned up. I hate dishes staying in the sink, but I hate doing the dishes, so kind of a catch-22. So I'm just smushing these down. I remember that in the recipe I saw it said to portion them out into like meatball size portions. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else, and I think it will work just as well. So for our meatballs, they're about a little bit bigger than the size of this little cookie scoop. Actually, they're a little bit smaller. So I figured I would take the back of it and just make indentations down into our mashed potatoes. and that way we can drop the meatballs right in there. And since these are small, and you could very much do homemade meatballs, especially if you have like the most glorious Italian grandma that makes the best meatballs ever, definitely use her recipe. But I'm trying to get something done and use up what I have. So, I'm just gonna make little divots and drop these in it. This little scoop is making it perfect. They just drop straight into it. I can hear my daughter jamming out in the shower. Okay, so I'm just going to give them a good little tuck in. Our absolute favorite jarred pasta is the Sam's Organic Marinara, just the Sam's Club Members Mark brand. However, I've not been able to find that in over a year, and it's awesome. That's really and honestly our favorite marinara sauce. But this Aldi Simply Organic, and I don't necessarily have to have organic, but this one we love also. It's still not quite as good as the Members Mark, but we like it. I've tried some Pregos and some Ragus and all that, and I mean my son just will not eat it. I keep trying even to season it myself and do all that, and he'll eat enough to say, oh, I ate dinner, but he won't eat enough like he normally does. Hi, Munchkin, you're out of the shower?
It was pretty easy.
Okay, so we're just gonna spread our marinara.
Can I watch TV now?
Yes. I've got the oven preheated to 350. Just spreading our marinara over the top. And then lastly, we're going to take the mozzarella and slice it across the top. Alright, so I'm just going to make some of these larger slices to go over it so we can get some big chewy pools of mozzarella. I was trying to get it in little rows, but I don't think it's going to happen. So let's just shred it up. It'll all melt. I was hoping that I would get these nice big mozzarella pools, but we'll just shred it up. Actually, I'm not going to. We don't have any more mozzarella in the house, and I'm not going out to the storage for the freezer. Alright, so we're just going to add a little bit more of this Colby right on top. So just get it all over. And really, we're just rewarming these potatoes. And we want to get these meatballs. These are pre-cooked meatballs, so we just need to get them cooked all the way through. So let's see how long our meatballs stay.
What are you making?
350 for 15 to 20 minutes. So that's what we'll do. We'll go about 20 minutes on this. And that will be perfect because by the time I get this in the oven, I'll probably wait to get a shower till after I see y'all, but get the dishes done and the kids out of the shower at least. Alright, so we're going in the oven 350 for about 20 minutes. Alright y'all, it's all done and I know I don't need to be touching it, but I'm going to take a scoop. I should use a pot holder. And we're going to taste test this. Whoa, look at the cheesiness. And it actually held together really well in a nice little scoop. It's different. That's not bad. My potatoes need to heat up a little bit longer. I think because they were still cold. They're only like lukewarm at this point. So they're not that nice, cheesy, warm, ooey gooey. And they could add a little bit more seasoning to it. But together, it seems like a strange combination with the potatoes and the meatballs and the sauce. But it actually works. I mean, it's just a different exchange for a pasta. But I think we'll stick with it. I'm going to pop it back in the oven for at least 5-10 more minutes to let my potatoes finish heating all the way through because I want them nice and bubbly, cheesy, hot. But I would give it probably a 4 out of 5. Pretty good. Not crazy wild, but it's very much different. A good way to use up leftovers. All right, y'all. So I know I gave this a 4 out of 5, but once we warmed it back up, you'll see it's still bubbling. Once we warmed it up all the way and got that cheesy, creamy goodness, it is so much better. We've got a little bit of that crust from the potato cooked on the bottom. We've got that creamy, soft cheesiness and all the yummy potatoes. I definitely would add some more Italian seasoning next time to the actual potatoes themselves. But oh my goodness, it's so good, so different, but comforting all together. I told y'all we had a ton of dishes. Thankfully, I got them all washed, and now we'll be able to settle and relax tonight. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba.